Hello and welcome to this short video entitled Tips for your WBS Master Thesis Defense. My name is Alex Code. This video is designed for a niche audience, that is master students at Waseda Business School, both for MBA students and MSc in Finance students. So let's start with the basic format of a thesis defense at Waseda Business School. It starts with the student giving a short presentation of about 5 minutes, which is a brief overview of the thesis. There is no time to go into the details, but this is okay because the committee members have already read your thesis anyway. Given the time constraints, you will need to prioritize and focus on the main message. Then there are questions and comments from the Deputy and Chief Examiners for about 20 minutes. In total, there are 25 minutes for the defense. One important point is that you should definitely avoid causing any suspicions of research misconduct, such as data falsification, data fabrication, and plagiarism. Data falsification means changing or manipulating your data or results. Data fabrication means making up data from your own imagination rather than from real-world measurement. And plagiarism means copying the work of others and pretending that it is your own. You should avoid making obvious mistakes, of course. For example, listen to the examiners when they are speaking and try not to interrupt them too much. Don't refuse to accept the possibility that you might be wrong. Everyone makes mistakes, and this is how we learn, so it is fine to admit that your thesis is not perfect. One idea could be to describe what improvements you would have made if you had more time to write the thesis. Don't be too confident that you know everything. This is unlikely to give a good impression for the examiners. It's okay to admit that you don't know everything. Don't show up with no PowerPoint slides, which makes you look unprepared, or 50 slides for 5 minutes, which makes you look disorganized and unfocused. And don't worry, it will be fine. And now for some practical tips. It is worth rehearsing the 5 minutes presentation, for example, to check how much time you take and to check for errors. Try to avoid reading your notes. Try and make an effort to make the slides look nice. Prioritize and emphasize the most important parts of your story in the slides. To avoid overloading the audience with slides packed full of words, try to animate the slides, such as using fade in and fade out effects for your bullet points, like what I'm doing here. It is also helpful to add slide numbers in case the examiners want to go back to a slide such as slide 4 or slide 6 to ask a question on something specific. And when it comes to slides, pictures are better than words. And also when it comes to slides, the fewer the words, the better. You might like to prepare an appendix in case of questions on details. Of course, you won't present the appendix during your 5-minute interview, but you might show something from the appendix if you get a question on the topic. One thing you might want to mention in your 5-minute presentation is whether there are any updates since the time of submitting the written thesis. For example, events in the news or recently published papers or articles that you might have read. These can be mentioned in your presentation or perhaps mentioned when responding to questions. Instead of focusing too much on the details, it helps to think about general questions, such as the so what question, why does your research matter, who cares about this topic anyway, and also external validity, which refers to whether your results are likely to hold in other contexts and in other datasets. If it is an online defense, try to look at the webcam from time to time, even if you cannot always look at the webcam. Also, try not to read your notes too much. One thing that comes across as bad style is if you read out word for word a paragraph that you prepared in advance to answer a question from an examiner. After all, this is an oral exam where the subject matter is your area of expertise. You should know this stuff well, and you should be comfortable in answering questions in a relatively improvised style. On this last slide, I put together some general questions, some common questions that you might want to think about as you prepare, such as which paper is most closely related to yours? Are there any particular foundational papers that are particularly important for your thesis? If you had 2 to 3 more years to work on this, what would you improve? We all know that a master thesis is never a perfect piece of work. This gives you a chance to demonstrate your awareness of the limitations of the thesis and to give suggestions for ways forward. What do you think could be omitted variables that might be driving your results? Are there any unobserved factors that could potentially play a role in your analysis? What about heterogeneity? Can your results be generalized to other sectors or countries? Is the Japanese context different compared to other countries? How does your research fit into your career plan? For example, are there any particular reasons why you chose to focus on this research area? Examiners might be curious about this. How should we interpret the regression coefficients? For example, maybe the regression coefficients indicate a positive relationship between variables without necessarily saying which variable is causing which. What about causality? Which variables are endogenous? What can we conclude from the results and what cannot be concluded? Do you think multicollinearity might be affecting your results? Multicollinearity refers to whether the explanatory variables in a regression are highly correlated between them, which could cause problems in some cases. How did you incorporate what you learned in the classes during your graduate studies into your thesis? Again, this is a general question regarding how you can link your thesis studies to other general themes in business, economics, and finance. And finally, answer the question, answer the question, answer the question. It is better to ask, could you repeat that, or did I answer your question, than to just avoid an examiner's question. Okay, that's all from me. All the best for your defense.